Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
It may just be the pre-surgery drugs, but it's got me thinking again. Starfish mouths are in the center of their body, and mermaids wear them as bras. What kind of shady shit is going on here?
Well, it's good to see that you're thinking about very important things in the scheme of the universe.
Hell yeah.
So we didn't record the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Because you're a slacker.
You're damn right. Well, you could have reached out to our vast accumulation of listeners. You could have called Eric. You could have called Don. Even go way back and call Dags and say, hey, you around? You want to do a podcast with me? That rat bastard writer. Hey, I like that. Rat bastard writer.
Hey. Copyright infringement.
Damn straight. Anyways, he didn't want to record with me. So you want to be a guest star? And of course, even as we record, by the time this one posts, I'll already be recovering from surgery. So it's not too late to tell Cory, hey, I'm free. Usually record Saturday morning when you wake up.
If I wake up.
Yeah, there's a if there. Because, Cory likes, I want to be up all night because I'm a young person. You kids, get off my lawn. But other than that. Well, I'll give you a quick update of what's going on. The big one, of course, is, well, first of all, how are you doing, Mr. Strode, since I haven't really talked to you in a couple of weeks?
I am doing okay. I
Cool.
have been working the two jobs, reading funny books, enjoying the fact that I get weekends off. Matter of fact, last night I didn't stay up super late, but I did watch a double feature drive-in DVD, of which I have way too many of. And
now, when you do that, do you sit on your chair and put a car in front of you and then, dim the lights and roll the speaker, use that little tinny box speaker?
No, but I do dim the lights. I do make popcorn. I do have soda. On the drive-in double features.
Now, when you run to the bathroom, do you just let the movie play so you come back and you're like, what'd I miss?
No, because it's just me.
Well, then that's not the real drive-in experience.
Well, of course not, because if I wanted the real drive-in experience, I would do it outside.
Oh, I thought you'd have milk duds. Well, that's why I thought you'd replicate the inside of a car. I could get you one of those Fisher-Price things, honk, blinkers and everything.
But they do come with trailers for weird and obscure movies. Then you get the movie, then you get the 10-minute intermission, then you get the second movie. And Sinister Cinema just announced they're putting out 15 more this summer. So I'll be picking those up. But I doubt if Joe even knows this. Do you know what address they come to?
I didn't know you wore dresses.
Hot Comics St. Paul. 77 Ellery. Yeah. Because back when you owned the shop on White Bear Avenue, they would give a retailer discount. So I would order them as the shop to get that retailer discount.
Oh, yeah, it's that or the porn catalogs we used to get for Gruber. So, either way, we're on somebody's list.
But then, when the shop went away, I just changed the address. Now, the thing is, I don't even know if they give the retailer discount anymore, because I always take advantage of the $98 sale where it's 12 movies for $98 on DVD. And years and years and years ago, when I called for my order, and they said, "Oh, you've got a retailer account. Oh, the sale we're doing is cheaper than the retailer account." Oh, okay. So I don't even use the retailer discount anymore, but they still come to Hot Comics St. Paul. So Hot Comics St. Paul is still alive.
Cool. That's funny because I hit a garage sale at one of the churches nearby, and they had a bunch of DVDs, and I didn't know what they were priced because they didn't have everything priced. You just go up and I brought like a cartload of stuff, and they said, "Oh, it's all $6." And I got things like some. Well, my wife likes red cardinals because it reminds her of her mom. So I found this I guess they're like garden type things, and I put them in the little garden area we got in back. They had labels for printers, things. Anyways, they had some DVDs that I picked up. One was The Music Man, Meredith Wilson, the one that's got Shirley Jones and Robert Preston.
Oh
I
yeah.
probably have a copy somewhere, but I'm like, well, I figured even if it was $1, I picked up some of those CBS Time Life things you get here every 2 weeks. We'll send you something on the Carol Burnett show.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was fun. And then I found from TV Classics, it's volume 2 of Laurel and Hardy, 14 episodes over 5 hours. I used to watch that every morning. Sunday morning, they had one of the local talk guys had a show and showed a lot of Laurel and Hardy. And eventually they must have lost the license because they went on to like Little Rascals and that, which I wasn't a big fan of, but I love Laurel and Hardy. I just grew up on that. It was just so much fun. So see, DVDs aren't dead yet.
No, but you have to buy them from secondary sources.
Yeah. I mean, the days of walking in the Best Buy or Target just browsing are pretty much over.
You can still get them on Amazon, which is where I order all of mine. There's also, I used to order them from Deep Discount DVD.
Yeah.
They don't have deep discounts anymore.
Oh,
but they kept the name.
It's a niche market, I think, because
yeah,
everybody streams everything nowadays.
Although
you kids and your fancy streaming.
DVD sales are going up for a very simple reason.
Well, I think people are tired of losing the rights to things.
Yeah.
So,
because one of the things that comics is doing much, much better than the big media companies. If you subscribe to Marvel Unlimited, it's not like, oh, well, all the Spider-Man comics are going to go away because we've licensed the rights to this other company. No, it's an all-you-can-eat of Marvel. And the good thing is, if there's stuff in there that's not available, like for the longest time, big gaps of New Mutants and Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man and Marvel Team Up weren't available. But when they announce an omnibus or a trade paperback or something like that, they're digitizing those comics. And then the week that omnibus or trade paperback or whatever come out, hey, we've got all these, older books that are available now. DC, on the other hand, I like theirs too, but it's too confusing because they've got a 2-tier system. You've got your regular, but if you pay a bunch extra, you get stuff sooner. And you have access to the trade paperback rather than reading through the individual issues. Which, because they don't really, neither Marvel nor DC do what I call threading, which is, okay, this story is going to go through 3 books. So when you're reading, let's say X-Men, and it gets to Mutant Massacre, I want to read the next issue of the X-Men. Okay, I want to read the next issue. Well, the next issue of the story goes into New Mutants, but the next issue of the X-Men is what you get. No, I want to read the next issue of the New Mutants or the next, of X Factor or wherever the story goes. And I think they need to improve that. But, in a way, that's kind of nitpicking because you've got 60 to 70,000 comics you can read for free.
Well, the other thing you can do is go to Marvel
not for
Wiki.
Free, but...
Yeah, but you go to Marvel Wiki, and if you know you're getting into a crossover, unless it says at the end, to be continued in New Mutants, you can look it up and figure out, or just a quick Wikipedia Google search, what issues in what order. It's annoying nonetheless. Hopefully they have a link that says here this goes to the next issue or story continued here.
They do not.
Yeah. Okay, there, guys. We just gave you $1 million idea. We are giving these things away.
Give,
so
give,
generous.
give.
Nothing but I'll get to that in a minute. So, what I was going to say before I got into, I figure I have to talk about what you're doing because not that I care, but no, I went to the comic show, the MNCBA's Spring Con. It was held, where are we talking here? The 13th. So actually a week ago from when we were recording this. And it was really busy. It was just amazing. I left at about 4:00. It went from 10 to 5. And it just was nonstop. Even at 4:00, people were still coming in. It was just amazing. Lots of people reporting amazing sales. And I even got to admit, there was a crap ton of people just discounting things at crazy prices. $2, $1. Deals were being made almost all over the place. I spent some time digging through the signed comics, and I'll get to that in a second, at Granite City's booth. And while I was there, I swear Tim did $2,000 in sales.
Holy cats.
I know. Well, and the big thing is they have some serious books. They have things, even back when I had Hot Comics, that I'd have given my eye teeth for. An expression of my mom's. That tells you how old I am. It was just amazing, the stuff that was for sale. I picked up a run of, I think they were the JLA, right before Zatanna showed up in her cat suit outfit. They went to the giant size format where everything was like 50 cents or 60 cents for double issues. I probably have them, but $2 a pop. And these were nice issues. These were not like beat the hell issues. There were a few boxes of bins that I dug through where they were. I picked them up and I got them home. I'm like, this doesn't look as good as I thought it was. But they were $1 a piece. Who cares? Fun reading. And of course, most of that stuff I'll probably read and throw in the dollar bin when I do my garage sale con, whatever the hell that's going to be. Probably coming in next year, since I'm pretty well shut down until January. It was pretty wild. The only real thing I regret is I was sitting down, and because I was a volunteer, they gave you a free lunch, and I sat down and I was sitting with Dan Juergens. But there's always a person that like kind of monopolizes a conversation. And I really didn't get a chance to talk to Dan much. And then eventually I had to take off. Every time I went by his table, though, he was busy. He had people there, and Dan's a gracious guest. He was talking to people. There were a few guests that I'd walk by and, mostly smaller press. And I almost feel bad because I really just want to go buy things. And I got to say, I had cash with me. So I figured this was my last blowout before the surgery coming up. And I was pretty unabandoned, let's just say, because I picked up probably 2 short boxes of stuff. And a lot of it was signed. I know you'll be shocked, right, Cory? So I just wanted to share some of the things. So speaking of small press, so these are people that were independents, and they have what I like because they have a single comic that I can buy. Guess how much most single comics are selling for if you're an independent person, Cory?
$5.
Nope. 8.
Oh,
The average price is $8 now.
That's
for an
insane.
independent book. It is, but it's also the cost of being a small press person.
I do understand that, but I have enough trouble with a $5 comic book.
Oh, I do too. But I'm also a sucker for an independent book. And the fact that it goes directly to that person, and in this day and age, you have no idea if these people can even distribute stuff, regular comic storage, much less anywhere else. I'm just going to talk about these briefly. I picked up one called The Hitman Graduate from Cloud Sky Comics. Haven't read it. None of these I've read yet. but the fun part was I got them and they autographed them. Another guy had 4 issues of a comic called Bushwhacked. It's a Hard Life. And I'm going to take one of these out. He also had a lot of merchandise, which was interesting, stickers, mugs, things like that, which is actually pretty brilliant. Let's see if I can find who published this. This is from the Burgy Brothers, Burgy Brothers. And I kind of get the feeling that only one of them was there. But they have caps, they have stickers. I almost bought the cap because I keep losing my baseball hat. I think I left it over at my folks' house when I went over to visit them, but baseball cat don't like me. I picked up one from, I think it's Scotty Calcote and Calcote Comics, Calcote, called Little Rabbit into the Facility. And then, of course, the last one I saw was the, why can't I think of her name? Domino Chance. And they had issues 12 and 13 of Domino Chance. I'm going to open it up. And Kevin Lena, Lenagh. And I picked up issue 11 at one of the Comic Cons, and now I find out 12 and 13 are out. So I picked them both up. 12 had a crossover with Gizmo Sprocket, so it was a little bit bigger than the other issues. So that was just the independents. The other ones that I picked up, I thought was kind of an interesting idea. These girls had, I guess I walked by and I saw a young girl in I think it was Girl Scout uniform, might have been Brownie. And I stopped and I went back and I asked what was going on. He said what they're doing in order to get their Bronze Star badge is this was part of the projects. And they made mini comics. And one of them is say what to do if you find a lost pet. Another one is how to help families with pets who have been affected by ice. So obviously this has to do with pets and family pets. And they had these little comics, and you're talking they're probably, no bigger than probably 2 by 3 inches. And it's obviously they were pieces of paper and they folded them up. But I thought that was kind of neat. So I supported them. And the other thing that's interesting is I think a lot of times these young girls don't really know how to react to people. I think they get some of the skills maybe when they're doing the Girl Scout sales, but here, this was a very different environment because the mom, and I don't know if the mom was her daughter or just the volunteer. My mom did, well, I should say my wife did the same thing with Holly and Dana when they were in Girl Scouts. And she kind of explained what was going on. They're going for the badge. Again, being an old Boy Scout, I'm there to support. And so I picked up the comics and then I asked her to sign it. And you should see the look on the kid's face when I looked up at Mom like, he wants me to sign this. I don't even know if she did that. But apparently they've done more than that. So this was created by Cleo Ida Trove from Girl Scout Troop 18895 for their Bronze Award project. And they have a number of websites on the back, thebondbetween.org, animalhumanesociety.org, and then there's a longer one, minneapolisminnesota.gov, so minneapolismn.gov, and you go back eventually, it's Find a Lost Pet. So I thought that was kind of an interesting project to do. And the fact that they were there, I don't know if they were there as one of the giveaway tables, if they bought a table, but it's kind of fun to support. And now let's get into what the fun part was. I went nuts on signed comics. I did something I don't normally do. Let's see if Cory's paying attention. We'll make this for a shiny new dime. We'll ask the Strode. What's the one thing JoJo wants on a signed comic?
A photo cover.
Actually, that's pretty good. Okay, that's one dime. What else do you think I would want?
Well, I know I would want personalization, but I just know that you like the person who's signing it to be on the cover in some way.
Yep. The other thing I've been picked up, I do like to either have it CGC'd, I guess CGGC or whatever. Yeah, the second tier, they're out of business. But I do like the yellow label because it's a certification of who signed the bloody thing. So I do like a certificate of authenticity because a lot of times, being old Joe, is I'll look at it later and go, I don't know who signed this.
Who the hell signed this thing?
But there were so many deals on signed comics that didn't have certificate of authenticities. I didn't know who signed them, but for the price, I bought quite a few. And I've actually enjoyed recently just looking, trying to find who signed it. The one example was at Granite City, he had two covers of I Hate Fairyland. They were Whatnot signed variants. And we were like, who signed it? It wasn't Scotty Young. It didn't look like the artist on the, and because it was kind of a spoof cover, because it was like, I can't remember the name of the character in this, but she was on the cover and doing kind of a spoof of the She-Hulk. Okay, this is your second chance. If you don't buy my book this time, I'm going to come to your house and rip up all your Spawn. But it was, oh, see, even now I can't. I'm looking on the eBays to figure out who the heck signed it. We did eventually figure out who signed it, but it was like, it had to be that this person had it at their show, because I can't tell if they're related to the, the comic at all. But it was just kind of fun. Some of the other books I picked up. All right, I'm just going to grab these here. Excuse me while I grab. So I got a Thunderstrike #1, signed by L. Milgram. A couple Crows, signed by James O'Barr, of course. Did I ever tell you my James O'Barr story when he was here at the con?
No, he used to come all the time, though. I remember that.
Yeah, he came to the con, and I overheard that a lot of times he has someone with him because, hey, if you know the history of him, yeah, he's got a right to be moody if he wants. But this was back in the education building when they had those glass showcases along the wall.
Yes.
And you could put your collectibles in it. Joe Thingvall would always put some Wonder Woman. I brought all the Hot Wheels I have that had some type of media tie-in, both loose and empty, or in the package, because most of them I have are in the package. So, and there were things, actually, I found a box of them as I was cleaning my basement. And I'm looking here, like there's Ghostbusters, a Yellow Submarine, Christine. This might have been the Johnny Lightning. Of course, various Batmobiles. There's the home, what'd they call it? The Homer from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they made a Hot Wheel of that. And I didn't have it at the time, but I found somebody made a Prisoner, the little kit car that he drives in the very beginning. So, but James O'Barr was walking, just looking at things. And I think I had volunteered at the time to watch the roll, because although they were pretty secure inside, you weren't able to lock them. And so you didn't want anybody like, hey, there's some nice review. Let's walk by. Well, James O'Barr walked by and he suddenly went, oh, wow. It was a car based off one of James Dean movies. And I can't remember which one, but it was like an old coupe. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting reaction. And I had wanted to give him that car towards the end of the con, but I wasn't able to catch up with him. That, and I wanted to try to get an autograph or something from him. But So if I ever see him again, if I know where the hell I put the car, I'll probably give it to him. I picked up a triple signed Pro by Garth Ennis, Connor, and Palmiotti. I have a Fathom Dawn of War that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signatures on it. No idea who signed it. A couple Legends of the DC Universe, 4 signed by whoever. Lobes, maybe Diodato, Russell. Some crossed. I think that's Garth Ennis's signature, if you remember that old zombie flick. Psycho Circus, Avengers. Here's an old independent called Brisingamen, Origin of the All Other. Signed and numbered, but it had Wizard World Minneapolis Comic Con exclusive. Let's see, whatever, some more goodies I got here. Let's see. Miss Marvel, signed by Chris Anka. There's a Spider-Man 2099, signed by Joey Cavalieri. Joey Cavalieri. Cory, why in hell's bells would Joey Cavalieri personally autograph anything from the 2099 universe?
He was the editor.
Yep. He was the chief proponent of 2099. And when he got fired or left or whatever, the universe fell apart.
And he went back to DC, where he had spent most of his career.
I did not know who that was. And when I was looking at it, I got to Google this. And then I realized, oh, that's why he signed the book. Because normally you see it signed by Peter David, obviously, because he wrote it. And I'm going to go inside, see who the artist was. Oh, sure. There we go. Artist. Let's see. Rick Leonardi. Even Al Williamson was a penciler. So you see those quite a bit. But I didn't realize his significance to that. See, I picked up a double impact special collector edition, limited to 500 bag, dirty foil. I don't think it's foil, but it's still sealed. Ricky Carolero, he signed it. I got an Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans, limited to 700, signed by guess who? Not Chris Claremont.
Which issue again?
Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans.
Oh, Simonson.
Absolutely. This one, I have a Simonson somewhere. I haven't been able to find it. It was actually something I bought off the Hero Exchange where he did a head sketch on I think a True Believers, first origin of Beta Ray Bill. Some of these I've got, it drives me nuts. Like I've got this Absolute Batman 19 foil. It's got to be Scott Snyder, but the certificate of authenticity just says, this is a certificate of authenticity. Even some of the old ones, like here's a Valiant Validated Signature Series. And I can't tell who signed it. But it's weird because they have a little stamp on the cover. It was the Armory's #1. And I imagine, oh, it's open. Where is it? Yeah, I can look at it. Let's see who signed. I imagine it's probably the creators. I tell you, if you publishers out there, Dynamite does it all the time. But if you want to really make some extra bucks, do an official sign thing. Because I'm a sucker for it. I'm assuming they sell. I did see quite a few smaller publishers have like their variant covers signed in this month's previews. I was going through Discount Comic Book Service. So this has to be, yeah, let's not put the creators anywhere in the beginning. All right, if they're not on the next couple pages, we're just going to go. Moving on. Yeah, this is great. It's like, I don't know who the hell signed this, but. Oh, by the way, if you're near your local comic store, be sure to, in the middle of this book, it says, ask for the free alpha issue. for the chaos effect and see what kind of reaction you get. All right, armories, we're moving on. I have no fucking clue where you put the credits on these things. And being that Valiant and Jim Shooter are both passed away, yes, I know Valiant's being published somewhere. No one to chew out. Oh, here's an independent I picked up. Time Machine, JoJo's Time Machine by Dennis Fogan. He had a graphic novel. Now, I'm not prone to spend money on a graphic novel, but I was in a really good mood. And he had these limited signed ones that had foil on it. Foil! And guess what, Cory? Gold foil! And he wanted $40 for them. So I gave him $40. And he signed it on the inside. I'm telling you, I was feeling generous this weekend. I don't know if you remember Extreme Studios Tour 93. They had this black cover. And as you went to different places, you could have different people sign it. I picked up one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 signatures on it. I have other ones with signatures. No idea how many are on this one. Let's see, these are all books that I don't know who signed them. There's a Kiss Psycho Circus 2. I can't tell. Night of the Living Dead, Barbara's Zombie Chronicles. My guess would be whoever. Oh, this one's got Mark Kidwell and Joe Mojo Moen. I picked up a Red Sonja, Devil with the Sword, number 0. No idea who signed it, but it was signed to Joe. I think I picked these up from Wrigley's Comics. No, maybe Go Big or Go Home. But I picked up other comics from him that were signed to Joe. A lot of Vampirella comics. And I had to ask him, I said, who's Joe? And he thought, oh, yeah, that was one of the collectors I used to know. He got to the point where he didn't want his collection and he sold it. Heresy! Lest you think I missed any CGCs. Oh, here it is, CBCS. Some guys were clearing some out. I got an Immortal Hulk signed by L. Ewing. I guess it's the first Dr. Fry. And then I picked up a Faust number 4, second printing, signed by Tim Vigil. It's only a 5.0, but it's Tim Vigil's autograph. Cool. But getting back to what Cory said, the number one thing that I pick up, I absolutely love photo covers with that the actor signed it. And Adam, I believe from the Minnesota Comic Exchange, had one that he was teasing me with the entire con. The Mummy, The Rise and Fall of Zango's Axe number 1. This is a retailer incentive edition comic that was just a picture of the actor, nothing on top or below, signed by Brandon Fraser. And this is an authenticated autograph, so it has not only the yellow tag, but it also has their extra authenticated autographs, which means much like the Hugh Jackman one I got a number of years ago, this was probably signed specifically for them. Not only is actually I'm on the eBays now. Let me, I want to see if I can find if there's any Rise, Fall, Zango, number 1. I want to see if there's any so you're talking that book itself is about $80. I see one on the eBays, the lowest, and then there's a couple imported ones, which means you're going to be paying an import fee. So there's only 2 on the eBays if you're interested, if you want to see what it looks like. So this guy had hit at $600. And of course, JoJo went, Now I'd already been buying things like a drunken sailor, and there was quite a bit. And I'm like, well, I do have the credit card. So naturally I did whenever I'm going to buy something stupid. Sorry, highly desirable collectible. I texted it to Chris, who was out on a girls' weekend. So I was counting on the fact she might be out having fun and drunk. Said, hey, could I pick this up? Guess what her answer was, Cory?
No.
Hey, you got that right. No. So I just, whatever. I kept walking by, and then he said something. I'll go 500 on it. Okay, let me keep thinking. Walk. I'm getting ready to leave the con. 400. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I got $100 cash, and I'll put 300 on the card. So technically, I only paid 300 for it. I bought it. Now the funny thing is a buddy of mine whose wife was also at the girls' weekend. I asked if he wanted to come to the Comic-Con, and I got him in. I had a free ticket, and we just wandered around. He kind of liked doing it. Again, he had nothing going on. He hung till about maybe 2 o'clock, maybe before that, and then took off. But he got to wander around, just see what was going on. He got there early. For the first hour, I helped hand out grab bags. It was kind of like when Pat Gruber and I used to do the cons. We would sit at the front for the first hour or so, and then we spent the rest of the time just floating around. And I would walk around occasionally, and I would find people and just ask, hey, do you need a break? And Cory, what's the number one thing you heard online about what happened to this particular Comic-Con?
That it made SweatCon look like Igloo.
I will say that's an exaggeration because it was nowhere near as bad as SweatCon.
I'll say this, though. One person was taken by ambulance due to heat stroke.
Yep. And that's probably your own fault because you actually, well, it was warm. I was just thinking, if you're standing in the sun outside, I could see that happening. But they had free water. They got the filtered water there. I wasn't dressed in shorts, but I did dress lightly. So you gotta pay attention when you're digging through stuff on how you're doing. I've had heat exhaustion before, and they did have free water there. I did do a number of times in the bathroom. Again, I'm not dismissing the heat stroke. It wasn't as bad as SweatCon. SweatCon was you walk in, you're sweating. This one got bad because, especially if you're digging in boxes next to people, there were a few times when I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. I didn't move though because I'm digging through dollar boxes. And the weird thing was just the vast amount of people that had so many discounted books. It's a shame you retired from cons, Cory, or maybe it's better because you'd have gone home like with your paycheck gone. It was just crazy. And I had a set amount of money, and even I think I still charged some. And that was not counting the Brandon Fraser book. I think that's going to be a problem for them from here on out because they cannot get back into May. And the big problem with May is its bookcase between Free Comic Book Day and the weekend of Memorial Day. They gave away the spot during COVID, and without Nick had an inside thing. He probably could have got him back in. They've talked about moving it to the grandstand. It was booked, and it costs twice as much. It's hard to do a one-day show at the grandstand. The Progressive Building up north. Were you there when they used the Progressive Building?
I remember the Progressive Building and the Education Building.
Yeah, the Progressive Building I only recall a couple times. Herb Trimp was at the one. I remember that.
Yep.
That building is actually designed to take care of heat, whereas the Education Building is basically a warehouse. And even during the fair time, it can get warm. So I don't see anything changing, especially if you got to leave the doors open. It's just one of those things you and I talked about when we used to do preparing for a con. Pay attention to the weather. We all thought it was going to rain. It didn't, thank goodness. And if you're inside, just normally I would have worn shorts, but my legs are ugly. So
it's never stopped you before.
Oh, yes, it did. I had never wore shorts to cons. I think I did once, and then I realized when you go down low into the books that are down low, you're basically kneeling on concrete floor. And I always forget I should bring knee pads with me, or just even a towel. Just flop it down. Amazing things there. I got to talk with Greg Ketter for a bit. He's actually at Heroes Con this weekend.
Yep.
He told me when I get better from my surgery, he's got a ton of signed comics. And I'm like, people are feeding the sickness. So it was, I think everybody who went had a good time. I think the sales were phenomenal. I talked to a few people. I did pick up one omnibus, The End. Our good buddy
by
Steve
Starlin.
Brown. Yeah, he lowered the price on that one. And it was one that I hope I don't have. I think I remember passing on it because I have it in comic form. But as I bought it and I got it home, I'm going, this seems familiar. But I looked at where my omnibuses are and I couldn't find any. So not a bad con. It was really good. They got Fall Con all ready to rock. I have no idea when it is. It's in this. Well, I'm sure I'll talk about it when I'm back from my surgery. So, and that one will be a 2-day one. I already know Gene Ha's coming, so that's kind of fun. Any questions you got for Fall Con or Spring Con or whatever the hell we call it? I did see Brian Wilson. We walked around for a bit. Of course, him and I are the I can't think of the term Nick used to use. Actually, it wasn't Nick. I think it was Kelly. He called us like the eminent or whatever.
Preeminent.
Yes, him and I are like the honored ones because we're the only ones from the original shows that worked on them that still go or are still alive. So,
because there are some people who go and aren't alive.
Yes, and they're cheaper that way.
Yes,
I did pick up one other sign thing.
And they keep, people keep running away screaming, but they say, "I just want a friend." I've been watching way too many Casper cartoons, haven't I?
Well, it's that, or because Casper obviously is the ghost of Richie Rich. That's just a given. I did have one more sign thing, but I'm going to save it for Freaking and Geeking. So that's your Spring Con report. I think everybody had a good time, except for the poor person who had heat stroke. And I didn't. Well, I did not catch the Comic-Con crud, mainly because I went into it overcoming a cold. If you can hear my voice, I'm still kind of raw because I'm in the draining phase of it, which is why I had a terrible night's sleep last night.
Wait. You're raw? So that means you're on Netflix now.
No, raw hide.
Oh.
I'm being chewed on by a dog.
Okay.
Rolling. Anyways, that's all I got to talk about.
You know what I got to talk about?
What's that?
These guys, our sponsors.
Our newest sponsor is NordVPN. Let's be honest, if you're out on the internet, you need a VPN to protect you. There's all sorts of things going on the internet where people can track you. You could accidentally download a keylogger, all sorts of things. NordVPN gives the best security possible. It has a password manager which generates complex passwords, syncs across all your devices, stores your notes and credit card information. It also gives you 10 gigabytes of private cloud storage, secure files that backs up your data automatically. But the main thing it gives you is peace of mind. It gives you peace of mind when you're out on the internet, when you're streaming, when you're playing games, when you're listening to podcasts like this one. It gives you safety anywhere at any time. It protects your online activity. You get full access to all content. And if you use the link go.nordvpn.net sh3ku, it'll take you to where you can get a great deal for a 1-month plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan. They are our newest sponsor. We're happy to have them. And if you would like to sponsor something here at any of the podcasts on the Solitaire Rose Network, you can. Just email me, solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks.
You would think for all the talk we had for SpringCon, they should be a sponsor, but no, we won't go there.
No. And now it's time for one of my favorite things that we do, and that is
Oh, we talk about how hint water is cheaper buying directly from the company than it is buying at Costco.
no,
That was a short conversation. That was pretty much it.
no, it's retro reviews. Joe, do you have a retro review?
You know I don't, because I've got a short box full of bagged comics to open.
And you don't read any of them.
No, that's not true. A couple of weeks ago, we opened up the Daredevil, and it's in my box to be read.
All right, the retro review I have is a Image comic from 2021. And you may think to yourself, well, that's not very retro. Yeah, it was 5 years ago.
I'm so old.
I was at work at the group home, and it was during staff changeover, and one of the staff who'd been there a long time, like me, were talking, and a new staff came in, and we were talking about things that happened during the pandemic, and the new staff said, "Oh yeah, I was in junior high when that happened," and I instantly felt my knees start
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Sure.
I have a manager at work that was 12 when 9/11 happened.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, anyways.
Marvel's new big crossover for the summer, Avengers Armageddon. It doesn't work unless you realize everything at the Marvel universe, from Silver Age on, not only is after 9/11, but is after Barack Obama was elected.
You're not helping.
So the comic I am reviewing is called Home by Julio Anta, Anna Weischik, Brian Valenza, and Hassan Otsmane Elhau. And if I mispronounce those, I am sorry. I am a white man from the Midwest. But the story I don't want to spoil much, but I will say that the story begins with a woman and her child coming from Guatemala to get asylum in the U.S. and live with her sister, who already lives in the U.S., because cartels had killed her husband and were coming for them. And they come across the border, and as they come across the border, they are using the old idea of how you apply for asylum, and it highlights how that changed in 2017. Because they had all the information they needed, they had a sponsor, they had all of this, but they were then told, no, the rules have changed. They're locked up. They're separated. The mother is sent to one facility. The child is sent to another facility. And it feels very documentary-ish until the child is caught. Everybody was told in English, where the children are, that, you have to eat your lunch there. You can't bring any extra food back to your, basically, cell. But he doesn't understand because he doesn't speak English, and he doesn't have enough time to eat everything, so he takes his orange and puts it in his pocket. And as he's peeling it, the guards see, they grab him, they throw him into an interrogation room. They're yelling at him. He doesn't understand them. And he manifests superpowers. That's the twist at the end of the first issue. From there, it goes forward, mixing what was going on in the U.S. in 2018 and 2019 with the circumstances for both the mother and the child. I'm not going to give any more because it's basically every issue has a really cool twist. And I enjoyed this. It's a 5-issue miniseries. It's also been collected as a trade. The problem is the art is by someone who is very new to comics art. So lately, when you read comics, the artists carry a lot of the story. You don't get the heavy dialogue balloons. You don't get the big narration. You don't get you don't get the this is a posed picture and the dialogue is explaining what's going on. This comic goes back to that in a lot of ways because there's a lot of info dumping going on.
Is that good or bad for the story?
It's good for the story, but it's a little jarring because it reads like a comic from the 70s. The prose isn't as purple, but there is a lot of, okay, this is a picture of a lot of people in a room, and here's 3 blocks of narration explaining what's going on. And I don't know if it's because the artist is so new, they don't know how to convey that, or if the writer is so new, they don't know how to script it. But it was a little jarring seeing a comic like that in the current sort of way comics are done, where much of this information is conveyed through the art. The other thing is because there are some sequences where it's dialogue telling you what's going on. Hey, we've got new leadership at the government. This old way doesn't work anymore. Yeah, we've been ordered to remove the children from the parents, etc., etc. I don't know if there is a way to convey that through the art. The art itself feels feels a little crude, but it works in much of the story. Anytime you get an action sequence, it doesn't work quite as well. So if we were grading this comic, A to F, I would give it about a C plus as an overall comic. But the idea and the story they're telling, I enjoyed. Another problem is it's very clear this is setting up for a longer story. And when you get toward the end of issue 5, there's a rush to complete everything and tie up all the loose ends. In that, all of a sudden, the story almost feels like it goes into fast forward the last few pages. So I don't know if the writer just wasn't able to calculate well how to use his pages, or if he was told, hey, issue 5 is the last one we're printing because after issue 5, if trends continue, the book will lose money. But it feels like a very rushed, very crammed ending. It didn't have room to breathe. So it's like when you're talking to a friend and they're telling you this story and then they have to leave in a minute and a half. So all of a sudden they're telling you the story and finishing it up and I got to go by. So on a buy, borrow, ignore, I think if you're interested in a story about migrants coming into the U.S. and don't mind the fact that there's superhero things around it, it's a buy. Otherwise, it's a borrow. This is one, if you see it in the library, I would check it out and read it, knowing that it's got some major flaws. But it's also the first thing I've read from any of these creators. So, you need to have those first stories and those first places where you can learn how to do things better. And this really struck me as a book where the creators are learning how to tell the story. So there you go. There is my review for Home. And now it's time for Joe's favorite part of the show.
Oh, I go ranting on about, I don't know, I'm not good at rants. Hey, do you think we should add a category if you find it in the dollar bin? I'm just saying, because judging by the amount of shops that are having sales and discounting things, it is entirely possible you could run. And I'm not saying home deserves the dollar bin, but I'm just saying, oh, do you know what the latest comic that sold out?
What's that?
I mean, crazy, like Nectar and Dork.
What's that?
What it's is it Masked? I'm trying to think. It's the latest Hasbro Energon Universe book.
Oh, Mask.
Mask. Yeah, it's gone insane. People are reporting that comic shops are sold out of it. I don't know if maybe they didn't order it or they underestimated the demand. And lots of variants missing. There are other people like, no, my shop's got plenty of them. So I haven't gone out to see if that's true, but well, probably in the next couple of weeks we'll figure it out. I already did see. I think they got a second print lined up, so that is always worth picking up because a lot of times the second prints are ordered before the first prints hit. So by the time they order them, they might be already doing a third print. So you heard it here. I mean, how many Transformers 1 had 17 printings, something crazy like that? There. No, that gave me enough time to dig out. I grabbed 3.
Hold on. We have to introduce it, Joe.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, now it's Joe's favorite part of the show, and you kind of
And
wandered off.
I thought it was bathroom break time.
You didn't tell people what part of the show it is.
They know already. They've been listening to us for how many years?
Yeah, but this is a new segment.
That's true. We didn't even have them way back then.
The segment is, what's in the bag?
So actually bags today, because I'm going to be gone for so long and the blind bags are going to keep coming in. Cory will be shocked to find out I didn't order any blind bags this month. Not really. There were 2 Atlas comics. Plus, I'm still getting them from Tim from Granite City. So I picked out 3 random ones. The first one came back. This is from Mark Spears' Monsters, Winter Horrorland Rip Blind Bag, which means it's an old comic. It's I mean, I've got these things lined up for so long. So this one's easy to open. It's a single
By
book.
the way, with mask number 1, did you buy a mask number 1 blind bag?
Well, of course.
Okay. Have you opened it yet?
I won't get it because it just came out this week as we're recording, so it'll be my next box.
Okay. Have you heard what the surprise is in it?
No, go ahead and tell me because I'll be hooked up on goofballs by the time I get it.
All right. The big surprise,
It's empty.
You get ROM number 1.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That could be cool.
By Robert Kirkman.
So I will definitely
Lorenzo
be buying
Del
that
Felici
comic.
and Matthias Lopez. ROM number 1 was snuck into your mask blind bag book.
All right. So the comic I got here, it's Monsters number 8. By the way, number 11 just came out. Oh, if you're not reading this, you really need to pick it up. Unlike previous ones, they did not have a list in back of what they have. So I'm going to have to do, let's see, Mark Spears Monsters, number 8, Christmas. So we look on the eBays and see, because this would have been a $6 book, which is what the price of the comic is. And I just want to make sure. Let's see. Exact match, lowest first. All right, so a lot of these are Christmas themes because they came out around Christmas. This one looks like a very thin, emancipated Satanic with a bloody axe, and behind the axe happens to be probably his young victim. So this is Blind Bag variant A02. So I paid $5.99 for it, and it runs for $5.99 on eBay. I would love to once go, oh my God, I got the 1 in 1,000 variant, but not yet. All right, the next one. Again, I'm reaching into the back of the box. Vampirilla Winter Special 2026 Blood Bag Mystery Variant from Dynamite. This is one of the rare single issue ones because Dynamite's gone to having 2 to 3 variant covers in their boxes or in their bags, which is annoying because then you're paying like $20 for it. Let's see this one. What's nice about Dynamite is they, at least in the back, tell you all the variant covers so you're not catching. So this one, Vampirilla Winter Special 2026. This is the regular cover done by Mike Ruth. And they count that as a blind bag cover L. It's black and white art. So I'm going to swing by. The regular cover is their cover A. So we're talking a massive $7.
Ooh.
I know, and I paid $12 for this thing. So
Uh-oh, you lost $5.
I lost $5. Well, more if you count the Brandon Ruth that I signed. The final one is a Red Sonja New Year's Special 2025 Deluxe Mystery Blind Bag that contains 2, count them, 2 Dynamite variants. And this one is easier to cut along the side. Most of them you can cut from the top without a problem. So let's see what I got here. Dun, dun, dun. All right. I have a black cover, which would be a blank cover. And then I have a Virgin cosplay cover. So let's see what they run. Red Sonja.
See how they run.
All right, so this is, if I open up the back, the black cover be blind cover L. That can't be right. They're saying that there's none. I know. I have noticed that the search engine on eBay is really inexact. I think what they do is they push it more towards people who sell well, because it's like, I see right here is a New Year's special #1, and they're saying, oh, we don't have any. Here's fewest. What I love is like when I look up something like Hulk number 55. Oh, well, here's some more examples of ones with lesser words in it. I'm like, really? All right. There's only 119 here. So, good thing the cosplay cover is a mere $5.63. It's the weird thing about, oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That has a logo on it. I have mine as the Virgin cover. So there's one for $15. Okay. So being that I paid $15 for this, I will make my money back on this one. Now let me keep scrolling down to see if I have a black bag variant. One for $10. There you go. That one, if I sell it on eBay's, will probably make some money. Oh, that was riveting, if not very profitable. I still wonder about guys who buy these things because I don't know if it's Dynamite necessarily, but you always hear guys, oh, I picked up 100 copies of Daredevil. I'm trying to find the signed rare cover that nobody knows about. I do kind of like them, though. And there you go, Cory. That's what's in the bag. What's in the bag?
And now it's time for my favorite part of the show.
What would that be?
No, not where I decide I'm just going to eat sandwiches for the rest of my life.
Oh, I thought it was where you decide that Jack Ripper really was named that way because he farts a lot.
No, it's Freaking and Geeking, Joe. What are you freaking on?
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of my surgery. First off, this is kind of a freaking geeking because I had a list of things to get done. Most of it's done other than the surgery. Work is still kind of a pain in the butt because now I think I told the tale of I sent in a note saying, yeah, Joe's having surgery. He'll be in a sling for 6 weeks, recovery 6 months. Oh, wait a minute. You can still come to work, right? So he redid another note limiting what I can do. He can't lift more than a pound. He can't do, which is what my sling weighs. They responded with something I recall when I had my hips done. The form I would fill out, have the doctor fill out that says, what can he do? And so I sent it on to the doctor. I probably won't worry about it until like my 2-week checkup. But and I went to my supervisor and he had to go to another manager to figure out what exactly the terms of my job are. I have to be able to lift 50 pounds. I have to be able to stand for 10 hours. I have to be able to sit for 10 hours. I have to be able to sit at a computer for 10 hours. If I can't do any of that, technically, I can't go back to work. What they are going to do, now, if you guys want to go back and listen to the podcast where I had my 2 hips done, they did not care about that because I took that on my own time. Because this is workers' comp, they want me back at work, even if it's just, I don't know, sitting. As long as I'm on the clock and not sitting at home. Did I rant about this before, Cory?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want to repeat that because it's still the same. So work is kind of settled. I've been trying to get 2 days off before the surgery, so I have 2 days off before the surgery, but nobody wants to prove it. So I can take it if I want, just do LWAP, and then worker comp pays it. But I figured I would just be a nice guy. I shouldn't do that. I did install a bidet. That itself was a nightmare. Anything I try to do home repairs just massively messes up. So it all fit together the way the directions worked. And then when I turned the hot water on, no problem. I turned the cold water on, it's spraying out from under the toilet. So I try to get it off and I can't. And I hate it when I follow directions and it doesn't work. So my wife called one of my friends, Eric, who is way smarter on this stuff than me. They actually redid their bathroom on their own. And he came over, he took it out, and then he kind of looked at the rubber gasket that they gave me, and he's like, wow, I'm surprised they gave that to you. That's nothing. So we go up to the local Menards, a hardware store. We pick up the right gasket, put it in, plug it in, turn the water on. It doesn't leak. And then we're like, well, how's this thing work? So we have the toilet lit up and we're like, I'm not sure. Does it have batteries under it? Because my dad's was like fully automated plug in with remote control. We couldn't fit one because of the nature of the toilet in our house. We have a small 13-inch bowl, which usually is done from houses like from 1960 pack. We couldn't fit in larger toilet bowls because then we can't open or shut the bathroom door. Kind of a problem with that if you're going to be using this. Cory, how you doing in there? Well, if I could shut the door, I'd be a little better. I tried to put in a toilet when the kids were born. I was at Home Depot and they had this thing. This thing can swallow golf balls. Don't worry about it. Oh, cool. We could use that. Put it in. Bam, I can't shut the door. It's 15 inches long. Finally, we had a professional plumber come in. I think it was a handyman type plumber, someone that knows his stuff. And he found a brand new 13-inch one, water saver. We've been using it ever since. But the bidet worked. Well, I shouldn't say we couldn't figure out how it worked. And we look under it. There's no battery door. And then as we're standing next to it, Eric lifts this switch. Water shoots straight out of the toilet, splashes on the door right behind us. We broke down laughing. I mean, this thing had the velocity. It could have gone over the house. It was just that strong. And then we called my wife in. Hey, go ahead, lift the lever there. Just crazy. Since then, we have both had an opportunity to use it, and if you aim it right, it's perfect. Because it aims obviously different for female and male anatomy. Google it, kids. I'm not getting into it. So the bidet is done. I had planned in the last minute, because I realized this is my last weekend before I've got surgery. I kind of threw what I call the bat signal out to the different people we geek with. Say, hey, there's a Comic-Con this weekend up in St. Cloud. It's in their mall. It's free. I've been to it. It's actually pretty good. There's another guy in Becker that's got a garage sale con going. We could get together. I'm meeting, again, final weekend. Some friends are getting together, and they said, come on over. Cory's got wrestling at night, so it wasn't going to be a full day geeking. And then, of course, we discover after the bidet is in, because let's try the hot water. Hot water heater died. I don't know if it's dead. Again, this thing was installed in 2006, which is pretty damn good life for a water heater. Most of the time, your water heater itself is fine. It's just a metal tube with glass insulator in it. That's why they gave you Sears gave you like a 10-year guarantee on it, because it won't go bad. What goes bad is the burner unit or the pilot light or the mechanism that actually heats the water. So we went downstairs, we plugged it in, we make sure everything's there. We reignite the pilot light. Hey, it's working. Hour later, no hot water. It goes out. Matter of fact, I just did that right before the podcast. I'm like, well, let's try it again. I hear it heat. We'll find out if we got hot water. Probably not. Of course, what sucks is I work tomorrow. I work Monday, and I don't know. Maybe I'll just go and I'll be the stinky screener. Who the hell cares? So the money I had set aside for this geeking weekend, unfortunately, I got to use for the hot water heater. So I kind of called everybody up. No geeking this weekend. And it was kind of hit or miss. I mean, we never hear from Birch if he can go. And I think Sharon was busy. And, it would have been fine just you and me going. We could have done the podcast in the car. But little hot water goes over. So it's like one thing fails, one thing fixes. On the plus side, everything in the warehouse or the storage bins in the basement, I had to clean out a corner of the basement because apparently in 3 weeks they're replacing our water valve. Again with the water. Water. I should have been a plumber. I'd be rich by now. So I had to where I had everything piled up, I just cleared it out so they can come in and get to it. I've got all my comic books in order so that I'll bring the box upstairs, and when I think I can read a comic, I'm going to do that one-handed. I kind of figure I won't be. I know there's a lot of things I got to learn one-handed. Drying my bum is one of them.
I know you used to read Cherry Pop-Tart one-handed. Hi-oh.
No, I learned how to prop it. I learned how to prop it up. Anyways,
By the way, there are things you can use to sort of set a book on, and you can basically it holds the page so that you can turn the page one-handed.
I was just going to say, now I understand why you like digital comics so much. Anyways, so for the most part, everything's ready. I practice getting in and out of the sling. We've got a water pumped ice cooler for my shoulder rather than using ice packs because everything is kind of kicked into place. I did have to stop my rheumatoid arthritis medicine, which could be why I'm feeling a bit achy right now. But as time goes on, it's like I stopped this medicine this day, I stopped this. The last thing I'll take that morning will be my blood pressure medicine. All the doctors are in. Wednesday, I find out the time I get cut up. Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a day. In the meantime, Cory, there is something I need you to do while I'm gone. I know how much you hate Orville, even to the point of, despite the fact that it gets better, that you refuse to watch it.
It's not that I'm refusing.
You're refusing. Just take it, you're refusing.
Joe, it's just that I have so much other stuff that I don't have to watch.
That you have to watch.
Wait to get better. that
Okay.
it's on the lower
This
tier.
is the fucking point I'm trying to make, because you are 100% bullheaded wrong on Orville. So I'm going to tell you 2 episodes to watch, and you just jump forward, okay? And I get it. I watched one the other day. Let's put it this way, Cory. If you're on Star Trek and you have a hologram and you get a holographic deck and you're going to do something bad, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to make your second in command 2 feet tall and belittle him? No, you probably do what most humans do when they have stuff like that. They're going to have sex. So there's an actual cringeworthy episode of Orville where do you know who Boris is? The big rocky guy who their species is all male. He gets a porn addiction, and they treat it seriously like a porn addiction. But it's very hard to watch because it's very hard topic to talk about. And in the Orville, they treat it the way Star Trek couldn't. Star Trek's like, oh, so you made a beautiful vision of Troy who talks, I am the goddess of empathy. No, you wouldn't. You'd probably make a Troy that's going to bonk your brains out. Can't do that on Star Trek. You can on the Orville. Does it make the episode hard to watch? Oh, hell yeah. But it's treated very respectfully, because not only does Boris have the addiction, but it's hurting his family. And the doctor on board who works as a counselor has to help heal the family. And so it's more realistic than probably people want. And again, the one, you probably have seen it. There's the one guy who's the chief pilot. I forget his name. They have an episode where he's trying to pick up this woman, and he is so cringeworthy. But it's probably because that's how it would be watching your buddy try to pick up a girl, and he's just awkward as hell doing it. Do you remember who Isaac is?
Vaguely.
Okay, he's the android robot that was sent from another race to observe the species, aka what the Borg probably should have done instead of just assimilating everything. So write these 2 episodes. There's 3 episodes. Write these 2 down. Identity Part 1, Part 2.
Okay.
In the second season, you just need to know that Isaac was sent into what the heck do they call it? The Federation? Not the Federation. Whatever they call their group of planets, to observe the human species. They are famously known as being kind of standoffish. So it's a real revelation that they sent a representative forward. That's all you need to know on that. The second one is in the next season called Twice a Lifetime. This is time travel story. This is one of the best time travel stories I've ever seen. 3 episodes. I think the 4th season, because it was it Netflix? No, it was
Hulu.
Yeah. It's not an hour. It's a little longer than an hour because they got to break the bounds. They only did like 10 episodes that season. The other 2 were done on season 2 on Fox. So they're probably like 50 minutes, probably 45 minutes. So watch those 2. These would be better representatives of what it becomes. And when I come back, whenever, I'm curious to see your reaction to it. The last time I made you do this was when I made you watch the Star Trek. I canceled Paramount Plus, so I don't even have. I don't have any new generation, whatever it's called. The show with Christopher Pike. I made you watch the season ender, and you knew it was going to be 6-7 months for the recome. So that's because it annoys me that you. I don't know, maybe like you said, I don't want to, I'll watch it when I get around to it. No, you're never going to watch it because there's way, way, way too much fucking stuff to watch. Plus you're watching wrestling all the time. If you don't actually try these good episodes, you're never going to try the Orville. It's just one of those that, yeah, it gets better. I don't want to wait. If not, your penalty is going to be, you have to watch that episode that everybody hates in the first season of Next Generation, where they go to the planet. It's all run by black people who are kind of like Aborigines. I don't know. And you have to you'll have to do an essay on it. The final thing I'm freaking on, and believe me, this is going to be This isn't long and the reason I'm so loud, because I'm gone for the next couple of weeks. You won't have Ryder to kick around anymore. Holy guaca fucking moly. Amazing Spider-Man 36 Legacy 1000 with 5 gazillion variant covers. I had to decide on just one, mainly because I'm going off the fact that maybe these will end up in the dollar bins when we go out on geeking on Black Friday, because I don't know how the hell would you order this and try to get everything. I mean, you've got variant covers from J. Scott Campbell, Eric Larson, and I love Eric Larson's work, Alex Ross, Hubero Ramos, Macabegali, Pat Gleason. I narrowed it down to a couple Scotty Young covers. Again, they're humorous. They tend to resell if I decide I don't want to keep it. There was a Peach Momoko and Frank Miller cover, but I decided to go with the Steve Ditko cover. And I'm curious, Cory, if you remember which one you went with.
I have not ordered Spider-Man 1000 yet.
Yeah, it's actually under Amazing Spider-Man 36. I did my discount comic book service order already because when it comes due by next weekend, I won't be able to do much. That's really the last thing I got to do. I'm going to move the computer and the printer upstairs. So if I do get to the point where I can sit, we can do the podcasts again. So let's see. Ruined plans, surgery, yelling at Cory about Orville, Amazing Spider-Man 36. That's pretty much it for me. Cory, what you freaking on?
It was announced this week that the Doctor Who Christmas special is off.
Canceled.
And that Russell T. Davis, who was the showrunner,
he's out,
has left. He also said that all of the rumors about all the stuff they were going to do for the Christmas special are false because no one wrote word one. And we will not get Doctor Who for at least another year or two.
Yeah.
And
now,
all
course,
I can think is...
You hear what everybody's geeking on now.
What's that?
Well, J. Michael Straczynski moved to England because BBC has a thing where if you don't live in England, you can't write for them. So everybody's like, oh, please, 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 please. There's a question of whether or not Doctor Who fans would accept an American, even one with a decent track record, aka Babylon 5. Would they accept him as a showrunner or producer of Doctor Who? And of course, his big thing is, he brought Babylon 5 in under budget, and he does something uncharacteristic where even with everybody in, he probably wouldn't need a big cast like with Doctor Who, but he always has back doors for everybody. So if he decides to have a character and this person goes, hey, I got a deal to do a movie, he can write them out. Probably not going to happen in British television because if they work the way I think they do, you sign up for the season, which is why Colin Baker, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Doctor, no, 5, 6, yeah, 6 Doctor, he got kind of screwed because they were like, we only want you back for a couple episodes, and then we're giving it to Sylvester McCoy. So I don't know if that's still true. Any fans in Britain can tell me otherwise. Anyways, there's a lot of speculation that J.N. Straczynski's like, yeah, no, I get that, but there's no way there'll ever be an American Doctor Who. I think the fans over there would revolt. That's why he's always bopping around Britain. And it was a big deal when Matt Smith came to America out in Alt West. So a lot of speculation. But like you said, it's all internet rumors. We've never seen that happen before, have we?
And the other thing that I find interesting, Christopher Eccleston has been asked for years, would he come back to Doctor Who? And he said, well, if Russell T. Davis is gone and these other people are gone, they're all gone.
Well, and they have already planted that previous Doctor can regenerate into previous forms. They did that with Tom Baker as a curator, so you'll be revisiting familiar faces before. I have not watched anything since that special. I watched a little bit of this and that. So again, I'm going to be on my ass for 6 weeks. I got plenty to catch up on.
I really believe that making the deal with Disney for streaming hurt Doctor Who so much. I don't know the behind the scenes stuff. I don't know what was going on. I just know that it seemed like everybody had a bad taste in their mouth about doing it. And then Disney, like all streaming services, oh, yeah, this has been going for 50 some odd years. Okay, we've done 2 seasons. That's enough.
That's enough.
It's why I won't watch a streaming show until it's done.
Yeah, but make sure it doesn't
Netflix
land
just
on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, Netflix
I won't watch
just
Firefly for that reason. I hear it's awesome. I don't want to get all hooked into a character only to discover it. That's it.
Netflix just announced they canceled 9 more series. I need to check if they ended on cliffhangers. Not only am I not going to watch them, but why? Why would you do that? They should at least, okay, we're ending your show. We're going to give you 2 hours to wrap everything up. We're going to give you, I remember back with Sci-Fi Channel was running Warehouse 13 and
Oh, yeah.
what was that other show they did? About the town where everybody had weird science stuff going on.
Oh, I'll call you at 3 a.m. when I remember it.
But Sci-Fi canceled them, and Netflix said, "Look, we will co-produce 6 episodes to wrap everything up." Because on our streaming service, they do really well, and we don't want them just ending on a cliffhanger. Why they can't do that? Because they piss money away all the time on everything else. Go to a producer and go, okay, the numbers weren't what we wanted. We're going to let you wrap it up. How much time do you need? Then negotiate how much time they need so that it has a conclusion rather than, oh my gosh, tune in next season.
Yeah.
The other thing I am freaking on is you're going to be gone for at least 6 weeks.
Maybe not.
Although, boy, I sure want to do an episode with you whacked out on goofballs.
I'll tell you, I'm saving one oxycodone for that. The big thing is, this is new territory for me. And, the weird thing is when I tried to put my arm in this sling, you're trying to do it so you're not moving your shoulder, but you're moving your shoulder. It's
yeah.
Anyways, so if I can sit up and last, I don't know if I could do a 2-hour episode, but that was part of wanting to get together for the weekend because, we could just record and that gives you, a single road trip that we do probably gives you enough for what, 2-3 episodes? I don't know what you edit that. And the last one we did was surprisingly comic centric. We weren't going off on weird tangents. Yeah, let's talk about Simpsons for 20 minutes.
We could keep these. We could keep these engine block down.
Eggs. We'll be sitting pretty.
This bird's gonna fly.
All I think of is that one comic book day where Dan's wife Jules made the mistake of saying, "I don't like Simpsons." Oh, so we did a 20-minute requiem to Chief Wiggums.
So, Joe, what are you geeking on?
Well, I mentioned the storage bin was empty. I think I mentioned that already. I did do a little minor geeking before all the shit hit the fan. I went up to Cryptic Toys in Maplewood Mall, and I noticed not only is there a display for K&B toy and collectibles, so if you want to see some of the stuff that Brian's got for sale, I missed Brian by 15 minutes. He had just showed up that morning to renew things. Brian's store, of course, is in Menominee, Wisconsin, 1214 North Broadway Street. Definitely worth visiting. And if you do go to Cryptic Toys, you can get a flyer where he's got 10% off his entire purchase on the bottom. And he's at, let's see, KNBtoysandcollectibles.com, KANDB, and is and, not the and sign. And he's on Facebook as well, KNB Toys Collectibles. So I did pick up just some Matchbox cards, and I was kind of impressed with some of the ones I saw. I picked up a Lost in Space Jupiter. Is that Jupiter 1 or 2? I forget. I picked that up, and I opened it, put it with my other spaceship. They had a Looney Tunes frog at a Hot Wheels series. What are they? A lot of these I had never seen before, so I just picked them up. I got an Optimus Prime, just the truck. I do have one with the entire his trailer box. And the other one, this one cracked me up. Do you remember the Fisher Price phone? They had the face and the nose that moved when you rolled it, and you could pick it up, and they made a freaking Hot Wheel out of it. I thought, that is so cute. It's called Quick Chat. They had two of them. They have one that was in gold and one in white, and I picked up the one in white. I'm thinking I should have picked up both, but I just thought that was so cute. The other one I picked up, they had a Mickey Mouse Disney Steamboat. And Mickey Mouse appeared in Steamboat Willie. So not Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat, little one in black and white. That one came out in 2001. And then one that I totally missed from last year, the Batboat from the Batman TV show. So I wish it didn't come with a trailer. So I had a lot of fun. They had some things there that I would have picked up if I hadn't done what I normally do when I'm depressed. And as I said, I did not, because we didn't go geeking, I have to save the money. I did buy the Ego Moss Orville 10-inch ship replica. Found a cheap price on eBays, toss a little eBay money that way. So that'll be the last thing I'll get. They had it for $60. I saw it for $55 on Amazon, but I thought, you know what? I'd do it on the eBays. Support my eBay friends. It does go as high as like 120. So keep your eyes open. You can get it cheaper. And it will join all the other spaceships I got on display. I mentioned, the other thing I did after the Comic-Con, the following day, there was a record show for Let It Be Records. They were advertising it. And I don't know, they called it their final sale. I didn't really get a chance to talk to the guy to see if he was just blowing stuff out and they're not doing it anymore. They're on Facebook, so I imagine I'll just keep following it. I don't think they have an actual store. I think they just do shows. So they actually rented a storefront, and for 3 days they were selling everything out. Another thing that I could maybe do when I decide to finally purge, the final purge, that's what we'll call it. The final purge is coming. When I finally get rid of the things I'm not going to keep. I could do a garage sale con. I actually talked about maybe opening another store, but I don't know if I want to be slave to a store again, for an entire summer. It would just be a pop-up store. But you could do a pop-up weekend at a sales area. Moving the stuff would be a bitch. I'm still leaning towards a garage sale con. It'll be one of two things. I'll put everything in there, come get some, or I'll just put everything in there and call all the dealers and best offer wins. I got a whole 6 months to think about that. So I talked about signing. I had one other thing that was signed. There's a group, I've talked about them in the past, and I think it's Wandering Planet Toys. They do a line of The Prisoner toys. These are figures from Patrick McGowan's Wild series from the late 60s. And they did something they hadn't done before. They had one of the actresses who's still alive signed one of the action figures. It was number 50 from the show It's Your Funeral. They only made 50 of them, and it'll be available for this day at this time. Now, normally when I do that, I don't have much luck because the computer freezes up, and I was doing it on my phone at work. I lucked out. I got one. I got number 15. So that means I was the 15th person to win it. So it's an actual action figure signed by the actress Annette Andre. And I thought that was, again, another clever way to just sell some product. And again, it was expensive. And I'm not big on signed things, but I should say non-comic signed things. I'm not big on signed things. No. I mean, right here, I've got a Supergirl signed by Veronica O'Donnell. I've got let's see what other fun things. I've got Baron von Raschke signed card. I'm not big on that. Here's a Babylon 5 signed Michael York. And I got a Kim Cattrall signed from Star Trek. Yeah, I'm not big on this stuff. Bah, humbug. And I ran across a signed copy of Everyday Gods, if you remember that series that Daniel Moore did.
Yes.
So I mentioned the eBay store will be closed by the time this podcast hit. It will be. It probably won't open until next year because I will have limited lifting capabilities. And believe me, everything in the fucking basement is lifting. I did sell quite a bit, which was kind of cool. Most of it was off eBay, which is what I've been posting. I said, just let me know what you want. A friend from the Minnesota Comic Exchange picked up Identity Crisis #1, the retailer program limited edition. Normally goes for about $80. He got it at half price. Another guy picked up Doctor Strange art on a Defenders blank cover that Brent Schoonover had done. $37, half price. Another guy said, hey, I'd like all these comics. And what's with this Bishop stamp? He picked up things like Heroes for Hire 1, King in Black, Planet Symbiotes 1, One World Under Doom 1. These are all various covers, things like that. Volcanosaurus #2, which is, I must have got that from Pat. It's about a T-Rex that is powered by volcanoes, and he spits flames instead of... Why Pat would want that? No idea. But the Bishop, I don't know if I've ever talked about this. This was back in the mid-90s when Marvel was licensing their name on everything. I think this had to have been when Ron Perlman probably owned Marvel, because that was the infamous Marvel Mart. Cory, you want to give if people don't remember what Marvel Mart, that whole fiasco was?
Marvel Mart was an ad that they ran in Marvel Comics for people to buy things via mail order. The problem was retailers who at that time were always kind of weird about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
After I tell this story, I'll tell another story about just how paranoid they were. But there was a thing it was done as a comic. And there was a part of it where Spider-Man, although I think it was just Peter Parker, was like, oh, it's better to buy things through the mail because going to the mall is dangerous. And retailers, of course, lost their minds. Marvel is trying to steal sales from us. They're selling stuff that we can't get. That was a huge thing, by the way, in the 90s, where if a comic company sold stuff that the retailers couldn't get, they would be very, very angry.
Oh, you have made me very angry, indeed.
Which made it hard because you had the Warner Brothers stores, and they would have exclusive stuff there because it was a Warner Brothers store. How dare you have this Alex Ross Superman poster that we can't get our hands on, sort of thing.
And you know what's funny? As I mentioned, if you go to last SpringCon when we auctioned off the stuff off of Pat's estate, none of that stuff has any value.
Right.
All those collector plates that Pat picked up,
no one wants them.
The signed limited edition prints, no. Anyways.
So here's a story about how paranoid comics retailers were. In the 80s, if you went into many comic shops, they would just have a cash box. They would not have a cash register. They may have handwritten receipts. They may not. And Marvel wanted them to seem like more legitimate stores. However, at the time, a cash register cost a lot of money. Joe, how much was a cash register when you started getting into it in the 90s?
So we're not talking the square things you see at small shops. This was a big mechanical, electronic cash registers. We bought a used one for $300 because it had like 20 different departments we could program into it. And by programming, I'm meaning hit these different codes to get it to do it, which sucked every time the tax rate changed for sales tax.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, and that register I still got in the basement. I mean, it's obsolete, but it worked the entire. I think I brought it back when I did Crazy Comics too.
Yes,
That's
you
how
did.
solid these things were made. Nowadays, for $50, you can get a system. I should say, credit card processing was separate machine.
Right.
Nowadays, you got the Square that tracks everything, and you can also have credit card processing through it, which is something I bitch about every single time I go to a show. If a retailer, I don't take credit cards. Why? Get a Square. But again, this was back in the dark ages.
So cash registers were expensive. If a used one's
Oh.
$300, you would have to imagine that a new one that did the same thing would be $600 to $700. So Marvel cut a deal where comic retailers through Diamond Distribution, Cap City Distribution, what was it, Glenwood
I
and
think
Friendly
so.
Franks could buy a cash register at cost. Marvel was buying them and selling them through the distributors. And people were like, I'm not going to buy one of those. Well, why? Because Marvel will track all our data. They're not connected to anything. But nope, people would refuse to buy them at cost because they thought somehow Marvel was going to get in and get all their information. And they didn't want that. Now, however, your big stores all feed information to what I forget the name of it, but there's also basically you can connect and it tracks sales data for both the company and the store so that the service they use could say you sold this many of this, this many of this, this many of this, this many of this, and you don't have to walk up and down the aisle like you did counting.
Yeah.
They would track everything. And of course, Marvel has the data, DC has the data, Image has the data, the distributors have the data because they use it in order to have a better idea of what they need to reprint, what they need to stock more of, et cetera, et cetera. But man, back in the 80s, shops were paranoid to the point where I remember at your shop, you never said it, but other people were like, oh, he's a spy for this shop.
Huh.
And when I started at Schindler's, a lot of the employees were very cold and aloof because they thought I was a spy for the downtown store.
Huh.
And then when I left Schindler's and started over at your shop, you and Pat never said it, but there were people who were like, oh, he's a spy for Schindler's. And Schindler's was like, when I worked at Schindler's and was working the convention, we don't want you giving the convention people any information about us because, we're very concerned that you could be a spy for, and it's like, no, we just want you to set up at the show. But it was a weird time, a very weird time. And I like now better. I don't know how it is in other cities, but Nick and you both did this wonderful thing of just breaking down the barriers between stores. I'm not in competition with you. If one store does better, we all do better. If one store becomes more prominent, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's one of the reasons why comics do so well in the Twin Cities and why we have so many comic shops, because other than one or two stores that still have that old mentality, stores work together, they share information, they will send, I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody, oh, I need to sell my stuff. And a store owner will go, I don't have any interest with my fans on this, but you might want to go to Nostalgia Zone, or you might
Oh
want to
yeah.
go to the College of Comic Book Knowledge, or the College of Comic Book Knowledge will say, we have way too much of that. You might want to go over to Hot Comics and Collectibles sort of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, the paranoia is gone, thankfully.
Yeah, I do remember it. I've relayed this story, I think, because I had a lady come in with a Justice League run and the original Justice League of America, and I gave her a offer of about $500 or $400. And I said, the big thing is I don't cater to older comics that well. And I recommended going to Nostalgia Zone. And Chris later that day came up when I ran into him at con. Did you send a Justice League run my way? I said, yeah. I told her I don't really sell that well, older stock. And he thanked me and gave me like $50 trade credit, which was cool. I think I picked up, remember that Deadpool comic where they just reprinted the Spider-Man and put Deadpool in it?
Yeah.
It was the original one of that. So what I did is I made a deal. If you bought a Deadpool, because we were really pushing that book, I put you in a drawing for that. And of course, who won it? One of my best employees, Jim Thole, who had every Marvel from the beginning. And he already had a copy of it. But he won it. Just the way it goes. I do recall, Nick, one last story, that he told me that he was always impressed by how many of my customers came to the con. And I was like, well, yeah, because I realized I don't have everything. I'm not going to have everything. My wheel well was new comics and then maybe new toys. That was a close second. The only time we sold tons of back issues, and we sold a lot of back issues, but when we did our crazy sales, that's when we had the most on back issue funds. But he said, yeah, I had the most customers there. There were some guys that were actually bragging, like, none of my customers came to the con. None of those guys are around anymore, but that's a different subject. So, anyways, wait, is it my freaking or your freaking?
We're in geeking.
Oh, geeking?
We're
I'm done.
live, partner.
I'm live, partner. Yeah, no, I'm pretty much it. Let's see. Storage bin empty, went to Cryptic Toys, geeking, record show, eBay store closed. I think I talked about what I sold. So, other than that, Cory, what you geeking on?
I know that the big story now is that DC is outselling Marvel, and it's been going on for almost 2 quarters now. We've also seen that the big tippity top boss at Marvel has been replaced because Disney got a new CEO, and he's shaking things up in order to tell the stockholders, yeah, we know the stock's dropped $100 in the last 10 years, so we're making changes. But I don't understand the how people are saying, oh, Marvel sucks now. Everything Marvel does is terrible. And I'm going to give some examples of stuff Marvel's doing that I really, really, really like. And the first is Daredevil. The new Daredevil, the blind bag edition. Yeah, blind bags we talk a lot about. I don't know how much longer they're going to last, but at least at Marvel and DC and some of the other companies, you do not see them on the shelf. When we went geeking for Free Comic Book Day, I didn't see any Marvel blind bags. I didn't see any DC blind bags. I saw some Dynamite blind bags, but that's because whenever there's a trend like that, Dynamite goes completely insane on it.
Well, and they put 3 in a bag, so they're asking $20 already.
Yeah. But Daredevil, really, really good stuff. Stephanie Phillips is really good. She's doing some really good stuff. The Chip Zdarsky stuff on Captain America and the Wolverine that's leading into Avengers Armageddon has been fantastic. He's not just telling good stories, but he's sort of, I don't want to say fixing continuity, but updating continuity. Yes, there was a Captain America after 9/11. The government went, okay, 9/11 has happened. We've tried the super soldier serum a few times. We need to get this right. We need to get a new super soldier as a symbol of America. And it's one of those things where once he did it, I'm like, well, of course. In the Marvel universe, they would have done that. I also like that he's playing into the fact that the time gap between Captain America being frozen at the end of World War II and becoming unfrozen is getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And playing more with the fact that Captain America was a man out of time. And what is his reaction when he is unfrozen to the fact that it's now been, what, almost 80 years? And all the things that happen in between. So I'm really looking forward to Avengers Armageddon by Chip Zdarsky. The Fantastic Four, this is one of my favorite runs. It's so well done. It's just so good. And I don't mind the fact that they started with the new number one when Mike Waringo came on, because it's a book that needs the attention. It's a book that people should be buying. It really, it's a different way of telling Fantastic Four stories that actually fits really well with the idea of the Fantastic Four, that they're not superheroes, they're explorers, they're
And their family.
scientists, and their family. And Dan Slott did this wonderful thing where, okay, Thing and Alicia are married, and they've got these foster kids they're raising. And Franklin and Valeria are acting like teenagers. It's just so fun. Philip Kennedy Johnson's uh, Hulk is going to be one of those runs that, much like the Immortal Hulk, people are going to be wanting it collected. They're going to want to read it over and over again. Same with Thor, the stuff that's happening with Thor, with the Immortal Thor and now the Mortal Thor. These are strong creators doing strong stories. And then Joshua Williamson, who in a lot of ways, in my mind, saved Superman after the New 52 and Rebirth, where it just got so convoluted and so strange and so confusing. He came in and sort of righted the ship. His run on Iron Man has been fantastic. It's only 5 issues in, and I look forward to each issue. Um, Jed McKay, I loved his Avengers stuff. I love his Moon Knight. His Moon Knight is the best Moon Knight ever. Sorry, Bill Sienkiewicz and Doug Minch. His Moon Knight's the best ever. His X-Men, he and Gail Simone on the 2 main X-Men books are just, they've hooked me on the X-Men, which I got to admit, man, after the 90s, I dip in and out. And it's creator-based, because in the 90s, the X-Men just drove me off. I came back with Grant Morrison, and then after Grant Morrison, I kind of drifted away again because they lost their way again. Hickman brought me back, and then Jed McKay and Gail Simone have kept me. We're getting some the Punisher book by Ben Percy is really good. The Godzilla stuff that Gary Duggan is doing is fantastic fun. And I think they're doing great stuff. I don't know why they have the reputation of, oh, Marvel sucks now and DC's great. I think it's just that pendulum swings, where DC was so bad for so long that when it started getting good, people just wanted to rush over. Oh, I've missed DC so much. And then the last thing I am geeking on, Joe, have you noticed you're not hearing as much of the comics are dying?
Not really, because I never listened to begin with.
Someone told Scott Snyder in a forum somewhere, you guys, you think you're doing great work, but comics are dying. and he showed the orders. Absolute Batman number 20. Initial orders. This is initial orders. These aren't last day cutoff, second print, any of that. 500,000 copies. We haven't had an issue 20 of anything sell 500,000 copies since the early 90s. Comics are roaring back. And if a shop is not doing well, it's more the shop's fault than comics' fault. Because if you've got books selling 500,000 copies, and he said that, Absolute Batman's the top selling book, but the other Absolute books are outperforming their first issues. Sales on the Absolute books continue to go up, which means they're pulling in new people. Tom Brevoort has said that Marvel sales have not gone down. It's just DC sales have shot up so much that they've gained market share, and the marketing people and the creative people at Marvel are seeing this as a challenge. What can we do to meet that? So I think we're in a really good time for comics. Then, of course, you've got all the Image stuff. Oh, this new Image book with unknown creators, but a really cool idea. Sold 75,000 copies of the first issue and 50,000 copies of the second print of the first issue. You can't look at numbers like that and go, yeah, comics are dying. Even at $5 a pop, comics are selling. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for 2 hours.
Yay.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
All right, everybody, be well. Keep reading comics. Keep listening. I'll see you on the other side with my new shoulder. Hooray!
And I want to let everybody know that we do not use artificial intelligence. Hell, we barely use real intelligence.
We done, bitches!